Hello. Thought I'd give you a report from Proud Monster. In fact, it'll be the last one because the game, I think, is essentially over. I've just done the first week in November, and I think over the entire front line the Germans captured one hex just east of Stellina. So I think they've reached their high point really. They're on 24 victory points. They need to get to 28 to survive by the end of December, which is not many turns. It's half a dozen turns. They're adjacent to a couple of victory point spaces, so they may get to 25, 26. But even taking a hex now is very tough for them. The Russians have earned their second close combat marker, so they're now stacking 5. And given that we're in pretty bad weather now, on the gas table you get positive DRMs for being September, I think it is. September, October, November. December is in fact a +2. So I think mud is also an additional +1. So for almost 50% of the attacks you're looking at a 3 left column shift, which can really crush even the most promising looking attack. There are also offensive supply markers that came into play, I think, towards the end of the last video. And what they do is they effectively channel the effort of the German army. They start off not being too constrained because there are a number of them. They're essentially chits between 3, 4 and 5 and a couple of dummies which you would play obviously if you were playing face to face. And anything within a 3, 4, 5 hex radius of those committed chits can attack at full strength, otherwise you're half strength. Not much of an issue at first, but then they start to go away. I think you lose one of the 3s, then it comes back, and then I think you lose a couple in December. And that, combined with a pretty stagnant front line, Russian Guard units are now turning up. We've had some Guard conversions. The Russians have got 5 recruitment centres that are now churning out 5 leg points, essentially 5 divisions a turn, so that's 25. And on some turns they're getting an additional 20. It sort of alternates between the first and second fortnight. You get more in the first fortnight of a month. So I think in November they got about 40, 45 infantry divisions, plus some other assaulted brigades, and they lost about 30 steps. So they're only getting stronger. It's funny because I thought I was going to actually be successful as the Germans. The Russians seem to be really struggling, but it's a very sort of resilient force, and it's such a big place they can afford to give it up a bit of ground. And that's what happened between the Donetsk and the Don, I think. It's a bit of a cul-de-sac really. You'll see on the map. You can say, okay, I'll give you a bit of the front line, and you can garrison the major rivers, and it opens a pathway to Stalingrad. But there's not enough forces to be able to take the opportunity of the hole in the line. So I don't know. I've done this a number of times, and maybe I just don't play the Germans very well. I don't know. I think I need to be a bit more creative with using reserves early on. There's a distinct danger of a Russian loss, sort of July, August. That's a pretty intense phase for the defender. If he can get through that and can just get to his 4 stacking status, that makes a big difference. And then slowly build towards the 5 when you get opportunities to counter-attack. It's quite a substantial German dead pile now as well, which is a bit depressing for them. Nearly all of the divisions are, the infantry divisions are flipped, and many of them have been replaced with their secondary counter. So I don't see any point in pushing on. They may get to 25 VPs possibly, but 28 is no chance. I had an interesting communication from Don that I mentioned forgiveness points in the last video, and he says that he doesn't mention them even as an optional in this, and that's a deliberate policy, because he felt that it takes away some of the tension of the game. If you know you can just give a forgiveness point and just carry on, you don't have that sort of motivation to defend as you may otherwise be inclined to do. And I think I agree with him actually. I don't think I would play it with forgiveness points, but I've really enjoyed it, and I think we'll definitely play it again. I look forward to playing it face to face, maybe later on this year. I've certainly got the rules down again. I was a little bit rusty in a few places. Say possibly even with a team game, I think it would work great, sort of two-a-side. So quick look at the map, and then we'll call it a day. So we'll start around Rostov. You can see Rostov is pretty safe. There are a couple of victory point hexes. There's one here, which is a Mariupol, just on the coast. There's another one which is Taganrog, which is just here. So the Germans are a couple of hexes away from those, and most of the panzer divisions are, as you see them there, they're now down to the last step. And once the Russian has got some close combat markers, he can use those defensively, which means he gets to pick the first Axis loss. So if the German uses them, then they are obviously very susceptible to just dying. In fact, there are now, I think, 2 panzer divisions in the dead pile. A lot of the others are down to 50% strength or less. So this is the hole in the Russian line, but the front line there is just Axis miners. They're all Romanian divisions. They've got nowhere to go really. They can't possibly drive on Stalingrad, which is garrisoned and can be easily reinforced from RVGK reserves. So that's going nowhere. Many attempts to get over that's the Don, I think, just to get on either side of Voronezh, failing, essentially trading losses. Germans are getting weaker, Russians are getting stronger. The Luftwaffe is now down to only adding 1 or 2 factors to the combat, so it's not really playing a very significant part at all. There's another, is it Lipetsk, I think it is, can't quite read it from here, I think it's Lipetsk. That's another VP, but although it's only 2 hexes away, they're just not really making any progress at all. And the rest of the line, there's no, you can see the offensive chits that I referred to, so anything within a range of 4 hexes of there you can put them anywhere, even put them on top of enemy stacks. It's just a zone where you can attack at full effectiveness. So you can see there's another one placed here. There's Tula under that a very rare now Russian tank division. But again, that's also a fortified line, so you're going to get a shift for that. You either choose the fort or you choose the city. I think choosing the fort is the way to go. But there's only one hex and one hex, and there'll be five divisions in there now. For the Russians, you'll be getting a shift for the fort, and probably 2 or 3 shifts for the gas line. I did consider using the concentration markers, but 18 divisions, that's pretty much only 3 hexes on one attack somewhere on the map, and you're not attacking anywhere else at all, so I don't see that as a viable option at the moment. The Russians have actually counter-attacked around here, and they've pushed the Germans back a little bit. In the Valdai Hills, the Germans did make some good progress. They're about halfway through them, and similarly around Leningrad. But you can see many of the German infantry are now the 355, so that's the reduced format of the infantry divisions. That's as far as we got, but certainly sufficiently enjoyed it and would happily play it again. Would like to come back and try and do a bit better as the Germans. Perhaps need to think about how to make that happen. But thanks for watching.